Okay, there we are. Now we're live. Thank you for noticing.
Oh, come on, David. You got to be professional.
I know, but I'm living out in the wilderness. There was a Babylon Bee. Was it Babylon Bee? Said that Trump is going to take over Canada and rename it Gay North Dakota. Um, it is, we're too far away from everything. My internet is horrible. This is apparently the worst time to have it. Um, Yeah, so I had started already talking to you, not realizing that we weren't recording. So hopefully we get people back.
I love technical difficulties.
Might be perfect for this particular conversation. Perhaps.
Technical
All right.
difficulties are part of the humor, because part of the humor is the heckle. So, it's fun.
Yeah. Actually, no, I don't think I want to get there yet. Um, what do you think about mooning as a joke? Mooning is a kind of trolling, right? Like driving past you're in high school, someone's butt is out or whatever. Like the idea that nudity is first funny, like out of context, nudity is apparently just hilarious.
It is hilarious. So obviously, Me Too and women's rights and all this stuff contaminated uh, bare butt humor and things like this. And there's a reason. So there's a reason for it. There's a
So
reason
good.
for it
Yeah,
because everyone loves the scene from Braveheart when they all flashed the English army.
right.
So the problem is that no one knows how to keep their nice things. Okay. And that thus the joke, this is why we can't have nice things. So,
Right.
you know, there was, what's the name for the dudes that wear the trench coat and then they flash, stuff like this? In
Yeah,
a way that had its
streakers or
place.
flasher. Yeah,
Flashers, yeah. So in a way those guys have or had their place. And if anything, it was a kind of warning to stay away from the freaks. Unfortunately, there are now so many mixed messages that it's difficult to, you know, things become crimes. Urinating in public can make you a sex offender. What kind of,
right.
I mean, I suppose you can live in a world where urinating in public makes you a sex offender, but then I don't. Is that hell? Are you living in hell? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and as I was thinking about it more and more, I came across where the term catfishing came from, and specifically, it's Charles Swindoll in 1988. This is like a Christian preacher and writer. He writes this book, and he uses a metaphor that he got from this set of essays from 1913. And it was when they were trying to ship cod, so the fish, um, they found that if they
COD.
froze it,
That's a Captain's Courageous reference. Go watch it.
if you froze cod, it took away a lot of the flavor. If you shipped it alive in these giant saltwater tanks, they didn't move in the tanks, and they'd be lethargic, and like the meat would be like mushy, and it was gross. So the solution they came up with is throwing a couple of catfish, and the catfish were aggressive towards the cod. They would attack them, um, and so that wasn't pleasant for the cod. But when they arrived, they would be healthy because they stayed active the entire time. And so Swindle, this preacher, he uses it as a spiritual metaphor of like we are in this tank that there's people that are purposely messing with us, and them messing with us is actually supposed to keep us on our toes, makes us stronger and smarter. The difficulties actually makes it better. Like what you were kind of saying about beware of the freaks and all this other stuff, and like knowing that strangers are dangerous and all this other stuff is a good thing to know.
Obviously, the the joke would be, why put catfish when you could put piranhas? That would make the codfish bulk up even more. They might even have abs and delts, So, uh, again, the problem is you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. All right? That's the point. The point is that you're doing all these coping mechanisms to compensate for an error that you cannot correct. And then you have this accumulation of errors, and now we're here.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of thinking about it, where there is a joke that goes too far because the catfish snips at the cod, but it's not a shark devouring them. They're still alive. They're still there at the end. You want something that's going to get to people enough, not a ton.
Yeah, but that's you're talking about. I mean, this is more about instigating reactions because the world is a stressor enough. So
Hmm.
if you take that cod metaphor and apply it to humans, and you're saying, sometimes you should get bullied. This hazing ritual is for your own good. Don't you know that this is going to make you a stronger person internally by going through this hazing ritual? Don't you know a real man does this? Don't you know? So you can start inventing these kind. We have
Yeah.
a guest.
Hi, Chad.
Hi.
What's up?
Oh,
You have
I
some
don't know.
thoughts on this?
Well, I was just wondering why Yawn got always picked on. I don't understand what I did. My feelings are hurt.
Oh, I get it, because you thought that it was really him, and then for a while I thought it was really him, but then that got into a relationship of like making jokes about why you took it seriously, which I mean is its own thing there. Um,
Well, I still don't believe 100% that it wasn't him. I don't believe it was his penis on the screen, but I'm not 100% convinced that it.
so this is the part where Yanni, you were saying this at the very intro of part one, and I agree with you, and it actually lines up with what catfishing is. This idea that there are weak spots, and it
I'm gonna
actually
nip this in the bud. I am going to nip this in the bud. Chad, just call the FBI, tell them to do some IP following, IP snooping, find out what happened, and then call me when they're done. All right?
I'll get back to you on that. Yeah, for sure, buddy. I don't understand why you have to pick on me. I just don't get it.
You don't
I
understand
think
many things.
yeah, let's
Well, see,
pause.
wait, just hang on a second. I want to ask a question. So you assume that people haven't been made fun of or prodded, and so that you think that you should take it upon yourself to do this to people. When if we were in person, I might just break your fucking neck.
I hope you kill me and you go to
Chad,
jail, bro.
Well, I wouldn't
okay,
kill you. That's ridiculous. But I might break your neck.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you
okay,
leave me a paraplegic and only spend 25 years. Correction. Come on, Chad.
Well,
okay.
well, I just don't understand it. See, like this is the problem with people who
Chad,
push
I
people
know
around.
you're a bully, Chad. I know you're a bully, and I got a microphone that works. So fuck
Well,
off.
you think I'm a bully, but see, how do you think that I get this attitude? Do you think I just acquired this by accident? By just
Trauma.
like, yeah, probably.
Okay, guys, let's refocus because
Why?
I
Why
think
should we? Why should we
well
refocus?
because I scheduled the conversation with Yawn God, and
With a bully. You
he only
schedule
I
it
am
with a
ready
bully,
for this. Let's
and so
go.
I can't bully a bully.
Bully me, Chad. Come on, bully me. Let's go.
I'm
well
just telling you. Like I don't understand the mode. This is
That's
why I
okay.
don't
You don't have to
understand.
understand. Bully me.
Yeah, I think it really is the reason. Like one of the great problems in the world are people like you who just want to go around and fuck with people for no reason, and it's sick
Okay.
and it's sad.
but Chad, you came on just to fight
Okay.
him.
Yeah, I came on to call him out because he's an asshole
Hey,
and
David, this is an
he's
example of someone showing
disingenuous.
who they are. David,
I've
this is an
I've
example of
always
someone showing who they are. It's beautiful.
I've always shown who I am. I've always shown people who I am in this way. If you're an asshole, fuck off. I've always said this. I've never not been this way. So I don't know what you're watching or paying attention to. You have some bullshit idea in your head about the kind of person that I am. When I've never once in the entire time that I've ever been in the corner, not ever told people how I felt. I've tried to be cordial, but when you cross lines, fuck off. That's how I feel.
Thanks for your contribution.
Yeah, thanks for your contribution, dickweed.
Chad, what is happening right now? Because
I'm telling you exactly what's happening right now. I don't like this person because I think they're disingenuous and they only care about hurting people and harming people and just because they think it's entertaining for some reason. It's people like this
I
where like when I was growing up, even into high school, people like Yawn God would come up to me and ask me, "Did your mom's pussy have teeth on in her? Have teeth? Is that why your face is fucked up like that?" It's people like that. This is the kind of person that Yawn God is to people who are weaker than he is. And so fuck this guy. That's how I feel.
okay, Chad, I'm gonna ask you to step away for right now.
Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Poor guy.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's interesting because
I'm gonna try to lower the energy because you see the problem is
yeah.
uh, I am my whole life was basically this sentence. I just want to know the right thing to do. At some point, you learn there's no such thing as the right thing. Everything is wrong. So Chad thinks I did something wrong, even though I did nothing to him. And that's so awesome.
Well,
Because
it's
Chad
it
gives
is.
me an opportunity. Hold on, I must finish my
Yeah, yeah,
monologue.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Chad gives me a kind of window to something I otherwise wouldn't experience. So, you know, I don't want to get into my schooling and all this stuff and whatever, because it's unnecessary. I don't need to justify myself for Chad. I don't need to. So he can think whatever he wants. According to him, God will punish me. I will be punished by God. So what does Chad have to say when God will execute his judgment on me? And Chad is going to bullshit me here like it matters? Come on, Chad. You don't believe in God? Stop fucking around. If you really believe, then you know I will be struck down. Okay? It's insulting. It's insulting. And I'm sorry that you're hurt. Okay? Because this is what I was going to say. I came to this channel realizing that this is all, you just have a bunch of sinners compensating. This is all therapy. All of this TLC stuff is therapy. You guys are doing therapy to yourselves for your own problems. And that's why TLC is good. So
You see that as,
you know,
you see that as
if
good?
Chad has to
as
come
like
on
posi-
here, if
as
Chad
positive?
has to come on here to vent against me so he doesn't push a dude tomorrow at lunch, good. Call me a bully.
What do you think? That interaction, being the person that neither of you were interested in talking to for a moment.
My girlfriend just chastised me for yelling. I just got chastised. So that's my
is
sacrifice to Chad.
so that
Is I just
we
I
were
got
we were
poo-pooed right
talking
now.
about humor as cope. We were talking about humor as cope. Okay, that's the way that you were speaking about it, and there became a tonal shift when Chad came on, where you had a choice as to how to interact
I
in
like
that
his energy,
situation.
I don't dude, bring him
Yeah,
back. I
but
don't mind. Everything is fine. This is
you
fun.
decided to have fun with it. You were like, I'm gonna make some sort of an example? What was like, because there was a humorous tone that you took when he came on. Would you agree with that?
Listen, it has to be humorous. It has to be humorous because again, a serious person does things. I'm not going to do anything. I didn't do anything, and therefore I'm laughing because I'm coping at my inability to affect any solution. If I could do something about it, you know, maybe I'd do something about it. But I'm not going to do anything about it because there's nothing to do because nothing happened. You see? So this is all. This is probably going to be a good lesson.
What do you think about? You said something about religion, and I kind of want to go back to that. Do you think that religious people can't believe what they actually believe? That there is um, that they're trying to trick themselves continuously, not that they have the conviction of a thing?
This is that's these are questions for rabbis, bro. Uh, there's a problem can appear when you have a belief that you believe and you cannot justify it. So basically all religions have to deal with this problem is that linguistically you can't justify your beliefs. So you have these beliefs and someone's going to ask you to talk about them and you're going to use your language to talk about it. And it's never enough. So on a certain level, it's like if everyone just said, it's like imagine some scenario where a group gathers together, they all say, "Hey, we're all here to, just to praise God." They all shake hands and they all walk away. So it's like something that takes 30 seconds. There would be no, it would just be a happy meeting. Oh, hi again, and then bye, and that's it. So there's no real investigation. It's once you enter the investigation part, the investigatory ladder. That ladder keeps going up, man. It just keeps going up. There is no end. So the problem is the justification. So the corollary would be what you say. So there's this joke, which is, can you have a separation of church and state in a country? How can you have religious persons occupy office? Would they not use that office to promote their belief, to forward their beliefs, anything? So there's this magic of, oh, there's going to be a separation, but of course there's no separation. But this then applies to everything, including, you're now a lawyer and you have to justify something. So how would you justify your
Mhm.
religion? And then you're unable to do so. So T-Grog jumps on this easy. It's low hanging fruit. This is why T-Grog is annoying, because it's nothing. What are you doing? What are you doing? So I'm sorry for all these name drops. Perhaps it's inappropriate, but it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. So
I'm okay with the way that you are talking. Um, it was very interesting because Chad outright said that he felt that you were a bully, so he was bullying you because he thought that you were a bully. But in so doing, he was also saying that he was acting like a bully. Like that was his words. His wording described himself that way. And just looking at the chat, that seems to be how other people are interacting with it as well. Where one of the people who had um, a, the ability to control Jacob's channel, not Jacob, contacted me separately and said, "Do you need me to ask him to go, or like to kick him? Not even to ask, but to do it." Um, but what I found so fascinating about that interaction is that there was a slight tone change with you, where you were like, "Okay, if this guy is going to interact with me this way, um, then I'm going to meet that energy. I'm not going like you didn't show him your belly or anything like that, you know?"
you broke up a few times, but okay. The
Well,
point
what
is,
I
I
was
don't care
saying,
about Chad. That it's. I wanted to answer him when he asked, why am I always on his mind? It's why is he always in my mind? He's not. He was just an example and the reason why this video exists. I didn't want to do this video. I was invited to come here. So I was invited to talk about this stuff. Okay. And so I talk about it. And then he comes on and then he asks me why I'm always on it, why he's always on my mind. So you see, there's a problem even there. You see, see, this is,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't want to think too deeply because I'll get depressed like fuck, man.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate your willingness to come out. I wonder about what Chad's experience is because let me tell you, when the guy who impersonated Yoav did what he did, it really got to me. It struck me psychologically, like it hurt me. I don't want to use the word um, trauma, like traumatized, but like I think, I think it could have traumatized me if I spiraled about it. But it was something that I was thinking about for days, like days upon days, where I was like, what was this? And it was a really, really bad
You want to know a
experience
fun?
for
You want to
me.
know a fun fact? So the fun fact, the fun fact is that I'm the kind of person who wouldn't even change in a locker room because I don't want other dudes to see my dick.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I'm the kind of person who wouldn't even change in a locker room so other dudes don't see my dick, and Chad thinks I flashed a bunch of persons and that they all saw my dick now, whatever. Chad can think whenever he wants.
Why did you move to Europe then? Because I grew up very European, which means I've seen a lot of naked people. No? Okay.
Should we brainstorm jokes?
Well, look. I think I shared it, didn't I? If other people want to come on, I can see that Cassandra is watching. If she'd want to come on,
We can
I
have
think that'd
fun.
be
Let's have
great.
fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I thought it's good. I thought it's a good conversation. And the other thing, like, look, did I have anytime anyone comes on the Bible study at first, when I let you on the Bible study, thinking it was like possibly just going to be you and me talking about the Witch of Endor, um, you sent me an email, and based on the email, I said to my wife, I don't know what this actually is. Like, I don't know how well this is going to go. Um, and I felt it went
Greedy.
like great, and that you were not disrespectful to the Bible study as a Bible study. I thought it was very productive as a conversation. Um, yeah, the tangents weren't bad. Sandy, your
So
opinion on some of these things?
Sorry, give me one
just
second.
just before Sandy speaks, though, just before Sandy speaks, I just have to say that what I'll say is that Sandy, you should probably mute yourself, and that you should view whatever I do and stuff like this. The heuristic would be that it's like I'm a Rorschach test for you.
Yeah,
I will write ambiguous things, and it's up to you to show me how good of a person you are. Now, you're not my monkey, you're not my plaything, but supposedly you have certain beliefs that if I prompt them correctly, I should get a correct answer. So I can see if you're a hypocrite or not. It's actually easy. So that's just the heuristic. That's the basic idea. You know, when you see my post or when you listen to me, it's kind of, I'm not here to talk about my own stuff. I'm here to listen to you guys and make sure that you can justify your beliefs. Okay, Sandy, let's go.
I'm trying to picture what kind of a Rorschach you'd be. But going back to the topic, this is probably the topic anyway. I quietly excused myself from a voice chat earlier in the week because person and topic highly triggers me. That happens. That will happen again. It's happened before. On the other hand, some of the topics on which I got triggered would include male-female relational dynamics, the year of all the Me Too crap, stuff that happened with my mother, and why I walked in my t-shirt in November to plug my phone in and charge it again at my sister's and then slept with my head under the bed after writing angry poetry until my phone died and had to go get recharged. But you bringing up
What kind
stuff,
of poetry?
you know, excuse me. Short poetry, probably responsive to abuse places. So, and just because I could, one of those ones where the letters down the side read something.
Well, and this is
Took
this
the
is the
edge off
thing.
of it, you know, so.
Well, yeah, that's interesting.
But at the same time, here I am, that's what, 6 years ago. I'm still triggering off somebody else, just talking about stuff. You can bring the entire topic up in a topic that should trigger me, and you don't trigger me at all. I do applaud your girlfriend, though, for... and actually you stating that in the way you did kind of hits that place where having talked a few times online with both of you, that even ups the respect meter, because you know there's 1,000 ways you could deliver that message. I know a bunch of them, and I liked your delivery. So sorry, David.
Aw.
No, that's all right. That's all right. What I was kind of thinking is that the term catfish now refers to tricking someone, But the intention of the term catfish, um, Sandy, can you mute yourself whenever you're not talking?
Oh, this might, yes. And give me 1 second to say
It
something.
helps with the show.
It does help. Who, you guys have talked about all of the people who have been used as bait. My identity was one of it. Two people in one evening that got Jacob because, would I do something? I can't even do that. But yeah, so I mean, like, seriously, it happens. Stuff happens.
Hey, Sandy, do you want to join the club mentally?
What are you proposing?
I'm asking. I'm going to tell you a story that is totally fake, but it's just very, very short, but only if you say yes.
I love stories, yes.
Imagine someone goes on Bible study with the name Sandy, and then they flash an old granny titty on the screen. Okay? Now that you have that mentally, and you know it's not going to be you, if it does happen, you can handle it. But it shouldn't happen. And if it does, let there be an investigation.
Well, and
you know the first thing that came to my mind? 10 people fainted.
Well, okay, so this is what I wanted to say earlier, is that the notion of catfishing actually is not about impersonation. The original use, where someone used that as a metaphor, is that a guy was explaining, it's from a documentary that came out in 2010 called Catfish. And it's a guy thinks he's talking to some young girl that he's become really good friends with, and he goes to meet her, and it turns out that it's an old woman who's been pretending, and the husband of this woman tells the guy who was catfished the story that I was saying before about the transporting of cod and how catfish kept everyone on their toes. And maybe it's not good, but it's good for us, right? It sounds like the parable of the wheat and the tares, where God says, what is it called? It's in Jesus says there's a bunch of wheat growing up, and the enemy of a farmer goes in and throws a bunch of weeds, which are called tares, into the field. But they look the same when they're younger, and if you pull them up, you pull up everything. So he says, don't do that. You leave it until it's harvest time, and then we'll sort the two out, right? Um, so there is this idea that we're in the middle of difficulty and trouble and everything else, but it's actually for our good that we're dealing with these things, and that they keep us on our toes. Go, Yanni.
I'm really hoping that this is going to be able to tie back. So,
See
Sandy,
what
this
happens.
person that is annoying, the person that is annoying, are they part of your family or are they outside of your family?
Sorry. I don't recall mentioning anyone annoying. A little bit more of a definition, or do you mean the story I shared before? The reason I was writing poetry.
The person who is giving you problems. Yeah, the person who's giving you problems, the person who is the focus of your displeasure. Obviously, whatever they are, you're going to have different ways of dealing with it. So if it's a problem that can't be immediately dropped, there must be some kind of familiarity or something. So this is just an idea of, because if you have actual problems, in theory, we would like you to solve your problems. So we don't want to listen to your problems and then wait for next week's episode where you still have the same problems, and then next week's episode where you still have the same problems, because apparently real life is not a show. So the question is just, what are the problems that you have such that you write poetry about them?
More than one person, 20 years initially, plus 37.5 more recently. Neither of whom are around anymore. And what is the problem? Generally, abuse, mental, emotional. Learning
So
to
you're
actually
dealing
make
with
choices.
things. You're dealing with things that happen to you. So you're trying to you're still trying to figure out the things that happen to you. Is that correct?
Yeah, to a degree. I was actually talking to my son about it because he's bugging me about cleaning up some things in the house, and I've come up with a new approach to the problem. Same problem. Still some triggers that sneak up on me. And when they do, I stop. I get stuck. I leave things. I leave the mess. I buy food. I let it rot. I throw it out. Stuff like that. Just your average everyday shit. But I write poetry.
Is this so? Is this your mental catfish that's keeping you mentally on your toes?
The poetry or the prompt?
The feelings, because obviously you could walk around saying that every day is a nice day. It's great to be alive. Isn't everything a miracle? But you don't do that. You have a catfish which is chasing you around. So maybe you like catfish. Catfish deserve love too.
They do. And they don't bother me, just like Chad doesn't bother you. Because sometimes in the back of all the shit that doesn't bother us, something still bothers us. And sometimes I dream it and I'll write it down. And sometimes I'll write about it anyways. But you're right, in the midst of most days, I still go around and I smile at work. I have a lot of joy. I probably jumped on here and talked about it because of watching the earlier dynamic.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I've experienced that ever so slightly with you, Sandy. And I don't mean this in any kind of a bad way. I've really loved you being part of the Bible study and part of streams. And Sandy's close enough that it's no extra for me to text her. So I love inviting Sandy to come out to anytime we're having a conversation. But there were a couple of situations where there were things emotionally where you felt like you actually had to take a step back, or sometimes the stream would go in a very particular direction as a result of something that you had been through. And sometimes it was unproductive, but more often than not, it was actually, I felt really, really happy to be there for, like, that you were part of those conversations. I haven't felt like, wow, she really threw everything off. It was more like, oh, that's a different direction than I thought of at first.
The whole point of reading the Bible is to read the stories and then use them to justify your life. So it makes sense.
That's why you read the Bible, Yanni, to justify your life.
Oh, bro.
We all agree that's what the Bible is, right? You said that's why people do that. And when people make a statement about why people do things, they're really talking about themselves, aren't they?
This is technically true. Yes.
Ron, welcome.
Hi, guys. Long time listener, first time caller. I just jumped on. I know I went 10 minutes back, watched all that, whatnot.
Mhm.
Yawn Dog, I'm trying to understand. You said people to help me out here if you don't mind, to justify their faith. Can you explain that to me a little bit better, and then so I can maybe answer?
So I'm going to explain it. I'm going to explain it so meta. The fact that you have to ask this question. So the point is this: you should be able to start monologuing until rapture. Once I give you the mic, you should be able to wax eloquently about God and Jesus and all that stuff until the rapture comes.
Let's say I can. Let's say.
So the fact
but-
that you have a question is that lack of ability to justify, you see?
Well, this is where I'd like to engage you, because if I run my mouth all the time, that's not actually love. I'm going to word vomit. That's not love towards you as a person, because with my faith is love in my heart. That is not my own. It's from an outside source. That is, best I can describe it, is mixed with me. It's like having two different glasses of water poured into a bigger cup. So there's a love in me that compels me to listen to you, and a desire to be around you and find out what you're about. And then maybe share my faith as I think would be best for you, or at least how I feel like it should be expressed. So have at it. I see you smiling. So what are you thinking? Does that explain? At least I'm trying to explain myself. If I talk all the time, what use is that to you? And what use is that to me?
In principle, I would be learning new things because you would have this knowledge that you would be giving to me. So I would listen for the knowledge, and this could last forever, assuming you had enough knowledge to give.
Well, let's say it's not knowledge. What if it's love? Because God is love, and it is love that perfects. It's love that draws, love that changes. I'm throwing it out.
The joke is there are a lot of orphans who also need love. So
sure, and I agree with that. Okay, I agree. I mean, I'm not. So okay, so getting back to your statement, please help me. So you're saying if I have a question, that proves I don't have a perfected faith, or it means I can't justify my faith?
Well, there's a loophole, and the loophole is literally the loop.
Please explain.
So if you manage to find a way to justify your faith in a loop, then you can talk forever, but at some point someone will notice you are looping. So the problem is ultimately, this has to do with I made some joke about the ladder or whatever, but the point is that the more you know, the more there is to know. That's unfortunately an axiom. And so the more you know, the more implicit questions can be asked. So it's kind of like there's a responsibility to have answers if you bother to know, if you bother to learn about it.
Okay.
I'm trying to wrap this up. In the sense of I'm trying to put a bow on it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my answer is going to sound almost childish. You have a lot of, so there's a discipline involved, and if you don't have the discipline, results may vary. So
I like it. Yeah, right. Okay.
So I don't want to say that you shouldn't. It's kind of like saying, well, a child is too young to understand God, so a child should never run around saying that God is the best. But there's this idea of seeing a child running in the grass saying God is the best that everyone likes. But under logical restrictions, the child should never be able to say that because they don't know.
Well, wait,
But
wait, if
that
I
means
may.
that
No, well,
okay.
because what? All right, and not pushing back hard, but let's say a child can know because it's by faith that works through love. That's at least for my faith, with Jesus. It's like it's an encounter. It is a spiritual encounter, not an intellectual one. Nothing wrong with intellect, but it's not an intellectual encounter. Is it okay? That's why I'm pushing back, because you said that's the only thing I take pause with.
Is language intellectual?
I don't know.
That's you got to answer that question, and then we'll continue.
Well, if I knew, David, don't tell me.
Wait, what do you mean by intellectual?
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's spiritual, to be honest. I think language is spiritual.
Can someone lead you through your whole life without ever saying a word to you and give you a spiritually fulfilling life? Could you imagine having a friend who is dumb?
Yeah.
Dumb, isn't that great that the word dumb, the inability to speak, is also synonymous with being stupid? So could you imagine having a dumb friend who went around with you all the time, who was your best friend, and so is language something intellectual? Yes, because you can do it without the language. You can have that holy life without saying a single word your whole life. So it is technically something intellectual.
Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna. I'm walking in a hamster wheel here. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with you. I don't know where this is going, at least about language and what we were talking about.
I would challenge you on the intellectual thing, because you're correct to a degree, but I've spent 38 years with a mostly deaf and dumb child who is autistic. The majority of the language that happened is only on my side. So is it language if I'm only talking to myself? A lot of what I gained from him would be in the nonverbal. So I'm asking you, what is intellect? Are you asking whether the degree to which a brain, anyone's brain, functions and how, and whether that's the driving force for the relationship, or whether any other component is also the driving force? I'm actually
sorry, just 1 second. Chad sent me a message saying he wanted to come on.
No. I have to answer. I have to answer Sandy before I forget, because I will totally forget. So, Sandy, I think the important idea would be that this is hard to accept, but it's kind of like everything is true. So everything is true. So it's true that language is intellectual, and it's true that it's not. And then it's up to you to figure out how to make it true. It's trivial. So I can imagine a way that language is let's say, lacking a certain type of information. When a person sings a song in a foreign language and doesn't know how to speak the language, but they can enunciate every word correctly, it would sound like they can speak the language, but in reality, they can't. So at the same time, there are persons who can dance, and that dance is a kind of language, and there are no words. And of course, you have the trivial example of sign language. Okay, so you can find examples of both. So you have to kind of imagine that everything is true. And then from there, you use what you know, to try to make as most sense as possible. And then you wait for new information, and then you go forward from there. So I'm just saying that in the sense that I don't want to put any unitary label. I don't want to put a single thing on any definition.
Preaching to the choir. I only asked for clarity because of you posing the question to Ron.
Okay. Chad?
I have to apologize, and I don't expect you to accept it, but I do want to apologize for talking to you that way, Jan. God, and I also want to apologize to David for acting the way that I did on your channel, as well as Jacob, and as well as anybody who's watching. And um, there's no excuse for it. And I'm
Hey,
wrong.
Chad, guess what? Chad, guess what? Just guess what? I in the email I sent to David, I said that Emperor Trump expects only the best ratings. So your presence here was a miracle, and we're gonna get Emperor Trump the ratings this show deserves.
I don't know what
I
that
don't,
means. All I know is that I don't like it. It came from a genuine place, and I don't want to treat people that way. So I apologize, um, uh, and I won't let it happen. And I'll just try to stay out of your way. And yeah, I'll have to get going. So,
thank you, Chad. Chad, I really
all
appreciate
right,
that. Thank you.
Everything's gonna be fine.
all right, bye.
Okay. Ron, do you have any more questions
Yeah,
about that?
yeah,
Anything
yeah.
to say?
Yawn dog. When I was a kid, I froze. I studied judo for a little bit. As when I went up against a good instructor, it was fun getting thrown because it didn't hurt and it was just immediate. I didn't understand your question, and I guess I'm coming back for another round. It's just how does language, intellect, and everything's true because we were talking one thing. I was talking about love, and then can a child know God, and then you went to language, and I didn't make the jump. And I'm guessing you understood the jump, but I didn't. But it's just a quick
Do
question.
people understand why Tayo is dressed like a grass ninja of some kind? Is that grass?
Oh, dude, no, that's a ghillie suit. He's sniper.
Yeah, good. All right, so it's working. Yeah, this is all just so I can get your attention, and we can get back to the trolling, mostly
do you, you
because
own? Why do you own that?
actually for worldly news, so yours and you and Chad's fault. That
Okay.
I got that. But I came back on again. I came back earlier because I was going to speak for Chad, and then Chad was there, so I was like, "Oh, Chad is there. I can leave." But also just to give a little bit of framing to the that epic 10 minutes of television that occurred an hour or so ago. It's not surprising to me that Chad would react to Younger the way he does because Chad really cares about this space. Whatever this is, Chad really cares about it. And if his senses are someone that's a bad actor in this, and a bad actor could be as much as not caring about it the way that he does, or caring about it in a way that he sees as destructive to the space. And the unfortunate thing was the big the big event because that then gave Chad an event, a fact to attach to his meaning of young that he's got in his brain of young God is destructive to the corner. And I can understand him being super frustrated that no one else sees it the way that he does. Now, I don't see it the way that he does, obviously. Uh, I think Young God actually said exactly what it was a few minutes ago when he said it's just a Rorschach test for the corner, similar to T-Grog. It's it puts a mirror up to you, and it's a black mirror. That's the game we're all playing. That's why trolls are very much a feature of the corner, not a bug. Of
Yeah.
okay, there's a black mirror to your face. What do you see back? And the way you react to that says more about you. But it's nearly 1 a.m., so I'm gonna jump off soon. Also,
Well,
David, I want to say thank you to you for doing this. This has been brilliant. Do more of this. You might be the new C back. I don't know.
okay, okay. On top of that, part of why I picked tonight is this is one of Shakespeare's plays. It's called Twelfth Night. Okay. And there's a line where they actually say the 12th day of December. And Pajot has talked about the Feast of the Fool or the Feast of the Ass. So you can see the donkey on the cover right there. Is because it would have been a feast where it would be leading up to Christmas. There was an inversion festival where foolery and joking becomes a part of it. And the role of Shakespeare's fools is a Rorschach test and is characters that mess with, they are oftentimes they act like idiots, but they are the most clever people, right? They are incredibly wise, and they will they joke with a point, and through that they show you to be a fool, and it leads to self-reflection. And
Bro,
so the first
listen,
yeah,
I'm
go
about
ahead.
to tell a story. I'm about to tell a story about.
All right, let's
Man.
hear it.
When Yoav in the chat called me a genius, I must have replayed that stuff like 50 times.
Well, that honestly, one of the reasons why I felt good about bringing you on is because of the comments which you were making. Some of them, my guard was up, and so I would see some of the things you were doing and go, I don't know if this is good. I don't know what he's getting at. And even when when you emailed me, the first email that Yanni sent me, you made so many jokes in it that I wondered if I should let you on for the Bible study. I was like, that's bad. This doesn't look like it'll be productive. But I've felt that it's productive and that you've honored the space as it's been set out.
It's froze.
Ron, it's good to see you as well.
Yeah,
Really glad to have you on.
Yeah, pleasure. Oops.
And I don't know if you were doing this intentionally, but it's Yawn God, not Yawn Dog. That, good sir, is what we call dyslexia.
There is no dog.
There's no dog. There's no dog.
Oh,
You're the man now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
If I could do that on purpose, I could be I can make some money, but it's random.
Just intentionally say it wrong. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. If I could, sorry, dog. I don't think you'll take it because. So what was he getting at? If you could help me figure this one out, the part of language and Sandy, because we were talking about one thing and he shifted gears, and I'm not saying it was wrong, but I didn't make.
Yeah, he's an atheist, right?
Sure.
So I think he was stating what nominalism is, which is like the relation. Do you know what nominalism is?
Yes. I just learned it. Oh, so I'm like, I cued it. So go ahead. Is he back? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey.
Yawn God. I called you Yawn Dog. I'm sorry, dude. I was like, my bad.
Oh, you technically you can call me whatever, because
No,
I don't expect anyone to use God. I like, my username is very old, and I've gotten insta banned from many chat places because of the name. So like, I'm not ever going to be like, oh, please use my username. No,
I thought it was
cool.
I thought it was Yawn Dog, and I'm like, dude, that is a gangster name. So just saying. So your dog, sorry if you. And I was just talking with David and Sandy.
It's a great name.
It's a what?
Am I delayed very much?
No. It's a reference to what's it called? Simpsons. Sherry, come on.
Oh.
Come on, Sherry.
All right, Sherry.
It's more like you have like a half hiccup hesitation on your like freeze. So I don't know if that counts as a
If
play.
you talk slowly and clearly, you will be fine. It is when you have fast talk and movements.
I understand. I shall speak like this from now. And this is no longer
You sound like
a chat about comedy. This is now about ASMR. No.
right. Yeah, you sound like Dawkins right now. Oh, who's the guy in the wheelchair that passed? I'm sorry.
Okay, we're back at comedy then.
Another genius.
That is Stephen Hawking. Yeah.
Stephen Hawkins. That's it. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
Well, so this is the thing though, is I take comedy very seriously actually.
What?
Because I think it's us trying to connect with each other, or it's us trying to understand the ridiculousness of things.
Oh, and by the way, I have to take pause with you, David, about the best comedy ever about Saturday Night Live with the fellow who, and I'm sorry, I forgot his name. He passed away from cancer. Norm Macdonald. The best comedy was not Saturday Night Live with Norm Macdonald. The best comedy ever was Saturday Night Live in the 70s when it first came out, when Chevy Chase,
I'm sure.
when he fell down the steps and it was live TV and he laid there for a minute or two. And it was so nerve-wracking. Like it was so, and then he
Those
didn't pop
kids
up
with their new music and their new comedy.
That's exactly you kids. So that was the best comedy. I had to point that out. So I feel better now. So when I was talking, Yawn God, I may be calling you dog. I'm sorry, but David
It's
mentioned
a better name.
I think Yawn Dog is very good. I accept Yanni as well. He accepts Yanni. I do it all the time.
So when you were talking about when we shifted from a child knowing God to language and what it was that a jump into nominalism? Asking.
Yanni? I do think it was.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the question. I'm sorry, I missed the question. I heard the first part of the question was he was starting to speak about the child and language, and then I heard nothing. So I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Then you went and you changed the subject, and I didn't understand. It was you started talking about language and whether it was divine or intellect.
I did not say anything about intellect. I said that. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything about divine. I said that.
You're right.
Is language intellectual? That was my question.
Right.
Is language intellectual? And for me, the answer is yes.
Okay.
You can invent situations. Damn, am I losing internet? You can invent. Damn, this internet is so gay. So I'm just going to speak as if nothing's happening. So
okay.
You need someone to affirm there is meaning. So this would mean that you kind of have to have two to have a language. And this appears in some math stuff and whatever. To have communication. But communication is... So language is a formalized communication. You can communicate without language. You can scream and you can not scream and stuff like this. So that's communication, but it's not language. So language is a kind of... You have to... It is an extra step, okay? And this extra step is... ultimately intellectual. You can't say it's not. If you say it's not, then it's almost like twins having their own private language. This I say that it's intellectual. Now I think the problem here is that I didn't say it's okay. So it's okay. It's okay for someone in a way, for like a child, to say God is great, even though they don't know. but there is no expectation that the child can justify. So the problem is you reach an age where justifications are expected. You're expected to be able to defend your so-called permanent record. A child does not have a permanent record yet, and so has nothing to justify. But once you get older, you're going to have to, someone might ask you to justify. Are you able to do so? And then what do your beliefs mean if you can do it and you can't do it? That's
okay. So my question to you, to counterpoint that as best I can, is faith can never be justified. Faith is something different than justification by logic and reason. And I'm not trying to cop out. I'm like, whether it's Christian faith or Islam or Buddhism or whatever, faith.
Well, and that I feel to some extent that was the point I was making before about Christopher Hitchens, is that Hitchens was one of the most popular new atheists, and his arguments were not very strong. And if you watch him in a debate, he will win a debate without even answering the questions that people are asking him. He uses humor and ridicule and language and joking to get at something else. And so it doesn't matter if it even makes sense. It felt right. It felt like he won. And that was the most important thing.
I'm going to do the same thing to you, Ron, that I did with Yawn God. What do you mean by justify?
No, I did not. I don't understand what Yawn Dog means by justify. I don't know either. How do you justify? That one, I have more questions than answers because
there are a few words in English that I love just because I love them. Justify is one of them. Prove is another one. The reasons I love them is because they are multi-meaning words.
All right. I got an example.
Of justification?
In the middle of the woods, where a monk, you find this monk in the woods in the middle of nowhere, and you come up to him and you start asking him some questions, and he says he believes in this, whatever. If you were to ask him to justify his beliefs, the correct answer for this monk would be to turn his back and walk away. The monk that would there's something about a monk that knows what they're doing doesn't need to justify themselves to anyone but God.
Right.
But this you have to be crazy to think these things. This is why you don't think them, because you're not crazy.
That sounds like
Okay?
no.
So
That
you
sounds
have
like
a normal mind. You have you're basically a normal person, and you have, in order to really get to the religious person, you have to lose yourself, and you're never going to lose yourself. And it's not recommended you lose yourself, so you shouldn't do it.
Well, and I'm understanding what you're saying. Sorry to interrupt. But
Let me
go ahead.
A monk that bothers to talk to you, the monk that bothers to talk to you wants money from the tourists. So, that's unfortunately how it is.
Well, to prove that I am a holy man, good day. So.
I told God a joke once. I should say this. I was praying and I decided to tell God a joke, and the joke is not a joke. It's a setup for a joke. I was praying and I was about to say a joke, and the setup for it was, "Stop me if you know this one." That was the joke. Because it's God and he's all knowing.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the whole thing. But I was like, look, if ever you're gonna tell God a joke, open it with that. He loves that one. Okay, he
Right.
thinks it's very funny. I'm certain of it. Thank you, John.
Yeah, young dogs even
No.
that's good. That hurts.
You don't see him very well. He plopped his little butt right here, my dog.
I saw that.
Is he black? Can't see him really well.
He's dark enough.
Yeah.
Good.
Yoni, do you see there being comedy in the Bible for uses? Like, are there jokes that you think of within that book as you read it?
I have a funny joke. It's kind of not funny, but it's funny if you want it to be. And I actually wrote it, I think, earlier today or something, but I'm not sure. And it has to do with the final words of Jesus on the cross.
Oh boy.
Oh
And
my.
see, this is the thing. Are there jokes in the Bible?
Yeah.
I have a it's hard to say. On the one hand, there shouldn't be. On the other hand, you could make an argument that the whole Bible is a joke, and it's the greatest joke ever told. Bazinga! So, I can't really think of jokes in the Bible. Because you would have to read them in Greek or Hebrew, and you'd have to understand them in Greek or Hebrew, and then the jokes are also not contemporary. So the joke would be, "Are rape jokes funny?" So I guess joke. It's funny before something is funny. The joke. So,
I think the sarcasm still comes across. I think the sarcasm comes across really great. I think I lost some people.
I missed it.
But,
I was
okay,
buffering.
so an example of humor in the Bible to me is after Jesus does the parable of the sower, the disciples ask him to explain, and Jesus says, "Do you not understand the meaning of that parable? How then will you understand the meaning of any parable?" Like, if that isn't dry sarcasm, it seems kind of obvious to me that that's dry sarcasm.
my internet is really punishing me today for talking shit about Canadian internet.
Yeah. Yeah, that is again Benjamin Franklin talking about this. Again, I will say, even though Ron is on team 1970s SNL, that to me is why no Cal, I'm Canadian. That is why Norm Macdonald is so great, is because he wouldn't break. He would be interviewed and he would just do what was best for comedy,
Right.
even if it made him look like an idiot.
Right.
Like his friends were like, no, he read like Russian literature.
Yeah.
He was incredibly well educated, but he
Right.
pretended to be an idiot all and never broke.
Right. I'm not against Norman. I'm not against him. I just
Have to
took
can I
all
just add one thing?
what's that?
I don't know. It was just a robot lighting a match. That's all I saw.
Hawkins.
Yanni is pan-European.
Ty wants me to have you say the sinner's prayer. I would ask you to do it not because you're doing it just to irritate Tayo. That would be my.
But he would do it sarcastically, and then it
That's
wouldn't
true.
count.
I know, but I know it, and he knows it. But Tayo would have to deal with it. It's me being vindictive.
I want to try to convince Ron
Yes.
to appreciate Norm as
Oh, I'm listening.
as maybe that his life was one big performance. Because
That's
you have to
interesting.
understand,
that.
there was a point in my life where I was like, I don't think Norm Macdonald is funny. I don't think
Right.
Norm Macdonald is funny at all. I think he might be retarded. And dude, you have to understand how shocked I was when I learned that he had cancer during that
Right.
whole comedy
Right.
family thing. It was amazing. I cannot hold. It's like he retroactively crowned himself king. It was the greatest joke. To joke with your own life. Your own life is the joke. Oh my, it's too much.
Well,
So he wins. He wins.
Yeah, there's he played what is that LARPing? You know, he LARPed.
Yeah. Yanni, I have terrible news. You're now being accused of being a Canadian.
Well, I am from Detroit, so I've been to Canada many, 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 many times.
You're from Detroit? Like actually Detroit or outside of there?
I was born in. I don't want. It's gonna get stuff gets funny, but yes, I was born. I was born in the city limits of Detroit. Yes.
I was born and raised in South Detroit. Now, for those who don't know, South Detroit is actually Windsor, Canada. There's nothing south of Detroit. It is, yeah, the way that it comes up.
Feels bad. Journey isn't the same band it used to be.
Okay, guys, I am going to shut this down now. I think.
Yeah.
I think that this went.
But
well.
we're having so much fun, and now my internet is finally stable, and now we're running away, guys. Come on, this is
Yeah,
pretty
but
good.
you waited to have fun for when my wife came home, so I'm saying hi to her a bit more and saying goodbye to y'all. That's how it's going.
You're gonna
I
leave
thought
me
this
with
was a good conversation.
You're gonna leave me with the olds. I'm gonna have to talk to the olds.
Yeah, Cassandra is building the encyclopedia of your lore, so that people can catch up. Sandy, thank you for coming on. Ron, thank you for coming on.
Good time. Dog, nice meeting you. It's a pleasure.
I still feel that you are unsatisfied with my answers, Ron. And
Actually, this is I'm learning a lot of this stuff. I am, I'm getting soaked in, and it takes you. I need to learn more, and it takes time and conversation to understand. You know, it's you. Your answers were fine, and I'm putting it more on me to. I feel at this moment I don't understand, and it's not you or anybody. It's me learning. And it just takes time. It's like learning an instrument. It's you practice the basics, repeat, let the pain occur in your brain, and eventually, you know, I have to learn different languages, different concepts, and then apply it. And then once they become my own, then I could do the dance that is this TLC conversation space.
And I do have to say as well that for what it's worth, I do think that this was a good. People are making jokes about like young dog historian. I do think that this is a good representation of you. It seems. I think this was pretty positive. I'm going to end the stream. This was a good time, guys.
Yeah.
I'll talk to y'all later, okay?
I hope to talk to you. Yawn. God, it's so difficult.
Just say dog. Everyone likes it. I call him Yanni.
I like dog. Dog is good.
Yeah, I call him Yanni. You call him
Yeah.
Dog.
Like, yeah, I'm like, what's up, dog?
If
Yeah.
the transcript reads, dog from Detroit, someone might think that's a racist comment.
Oh
Yeah.
no,
Sherry,
joke.
part 1 was right beforehand, so you don't have much to catch up on. There were technical issues. Okay. Good night, all.
peace.
Peace.
Ciao, ciao.